was trying to figure it out on the way over here. It's maybe 8. I don't know.
Probably like at least.
8,
maybe.
It's probably a decade.
Been a while.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed. Not my belt, but that's the same. That I think I'm going to keep for another 10 years.
Yeah.
But a lot of things have changed. The last time I saw you, we were in Ottawa at Pat's place, right?
Yep.
And we wanted to swap training, so I gave you a kettlebell private, and then you cow hoofed me about, and that's when I first heard the cow hoof expression, by the way. And I haven't forgotten that Pat was laughing in the corner, calling you cowman or something, and then I think if memory serves correct, you wrist locked me like 15 times in 3 minutes. It was a lot of fun. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I might have been. I think I was on a wrist lock tangent, and I think I even added some mooing in there. Maybe.
Yes, I recall.
I had to pay you back because. That was the first time I had ever done kettlebells. Yeah. And I was anticipating how sore I would be the next day.
That's what it was.
So I got a little early payback because
I thought you were just trying to impress upon me the importance of understanding that the wrist is always available. It's always there from so many positions, right?
It's true. It's true. It's a fun attack.
It is a fun thing. Yeah. So it's a long time ago. I took some time off. I recently came back to Jiu-Jitsu, and you know what? I noticed like a lot of things have changed.
Yep.
Some for the better, and some I don't know yet. The jury is maybe still out on that. And coming out to California, I knew I wanted to look you up right away. Because number one, I remember what an awesome teacher you are, and number two, I wanted to talk to you about this. I wanted to meet up with one of the old school guys, and I wanted to see your kind of take on things, because you've seen so much. I mean, coming Renzo Gracie black belt. I know that you came up with like John Danner and Matt Serra and all these guys. So coming from that kind of core group that exploded and now have become so well known around the world. And you're out here now. What do you think, maybe from your perspective, what's one of the biggest changes you've seen over the years? Or what's kind of the current thing? We were just talking about kind of like trends in Jiu-Jitsu. Do you think like Jiu-Jitsu became a lot more kind of like trend-centric?
Yeah, I've said it from the beginning that Jiu-Jitsu really tends to follow trends. What is popular now is going to go away, and it's going to be popular in like 8 years. There's this like life cycle of popular moves
fashion.
Come and go. It's exactly like fashion. Look at bell bottoms.
Right.
As a little off topic, but my mom told me when I was like 7 or something that I made fun of bell bottoms. Like, oh, look at those pants. And she was like, mark my words, they will be back. And I was like, yeah, right. And sure enough, they came back, or whatever that was, like a few years back, and they'll probably come back again, or if they're not.
I wonder if people get just as embarrassed about wearing their bell bottoms as they do about some jiu-jitsu moves that maybe they're pulling, a few years from now. I wonder. That would be a whole other conversation.
It could be, but yeah, I think it does follow some trendy activity. I mean, even heel hooks, the current heel hook trend, because of the success of John Danaher's students, Gary and Eddie, and now Gordon. Like, they had a lot of success with heel hooks, and now everybody's like, oh snap, heel hooks are. But that happened,
right?
It's
not new.
No, it's totally not new, and I guess that's a whole nother story. Like, we've been doing heel hooks from forever, but but to go back to the topic of what has happened with jiu-jitsu, and like I'm fortunate enough to get to commentate the big tournament, so I get to see all of the best guys in their most current state. In the IBJJF, and then you can see all the other things that are going on. Yeah, I think jiu-jitsu has split big time, and it seems to be splitting more and more. With basically, you could define it as IBJJF rule set, which is our governing body of jiu-jitsu. It's gi and no gi, but the rules are the same. There's no leg reaping. There are no heel hooks. There are no things like this. They're the same whether it's gi or no gi. It's just the moves are different.
And as a guy who has started off, in a time where, like in Canada, I joke with Bruno Fernandez. He says, when he came to Canada, finding another black belt was like running into a unicorn.
Yeah.
But I said, never mind black belt. Like I was telling you before, if I ran into a purple belt and I told somebody I trained with a purple belt, they were like, BS, man. No, it was like telling them I trained with Jesus. Like they like it's like a purple belt from where? And then everybody's like messaging each other. And we're trying to figure out like where can we meet this guy? Can we train with him? So from that time, we didn't have any of this knee reaping. That when I came back, people say you're reaping the knee. I said, I'm doing what? Like, okay, so we've got this whole kind of thing where all the rules are skewed in this one way, and it's whether it's gi or no gi.
Yeah.
And so that's creating one kind of focus for everyone's training, right? To play within these rules and be good in these rules.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And now the other camp.
And then we've got a hyper-focused, and I guess you could dictate gi is even more hyper-focused because of like berambolas. So you take the gi off, that stuff starts to go a little bit down, but you still got those rule sets. And then I guess you could say that you have this game that has no rules, back in the NHP days, but limited rules where you can heel hook, you can leg reap, you can go off on this tangent.
We can go knee on face and switch sides if it's appropriate.
That's right. And so that game is completely different. And then there are little like pools within that game. The EBI has its thing where you've got to have an overtime, and it's done a great job. I love that tournament. It's done a great job of exposing what we've mentioned before, some of the guys that like literally lack some of the fundamentals but are amazing at other things.
Right.
But as soon as they get somebody riding their back, they can't get out.
That's it.
And one of the key guys, Shawn Williams, that guy's incredible. However, he got rode out in that tournament. He couldn't get out of the back control by not someone that's lesser, but someone that has less experience in jiu-jitsu tournaments, way less experience in jiu-jitsu tournaments than him, but is an MMA guy, knows how to hold somebody's back, and he beat them. So it's that style of tournament.
Right.
And then I think that you have the jiu-jitsu for fighting, because I believe that all three, I guess you could call them three, even those little pools in between, they're all different. The rule set that you might have for no-gi grappling with heel hooks isn't what you'll have for fighting anymore, because now you look at the rules of these no points, submission only things. And most people understand that it's now about efficiency. So the most efficient way to grapple is to sit down. Is to just sit down and get on with it. Yeah. Because takedowns are exhausting, and what do you get for a takedown when there's no points?
Yeah, you have to submit the guy anyway.
Right. But in fighting, that's not true. In fighting, you better know how to do a really effective shoot box. Yeah. You got to know how to put those things together with the striking, with the wrestling, and then you've got to have a jiu-jitsu that's very efficient with control and submission. You still need to be dangerous to submit somebody. I mean, if jiu-jitsu for fighting is interesting to me. That in many ways that's my favorite. You have to learn how to or be able to control an opponent, but also submit them as well while causing damage. Meanwhile punching.
So you have to be more well-rounded. You have to know the takedowns. You have to know how to deal with strikes. You have to know how to deal with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think those three sort of tree branches are kind of what jiu-jitsu has become today, and I think they're all good. Is a gi guy that's amazing in Barambola going to be able to defend himself in the street? Probably, as long as the other guy isn't a trained fighter. He's going to be able to, most likely any black belt that's fighting at the IBJJF is going to be able to handle themselves. Will that guy go and win in MMA? If that's his game, Barambola, no, he won't. He'll get beat up most likely he'll probably get beat up sooner or later by somebody that's good at a well-rounded especially if they're good at shoot boxing. I believe that's the most important part of MMA. Not the most important style, but that is what dictates who controls the fight. But so each division is, I think, great.
I agree, and I think they're all great. I don't think you know, like, oh, you know, you shouldn't train comp, you should only do stuff for self-defense. I think whatever somebody wants to do, whatever they're going to get out of it for their life, if you just want to really compete, you spend your life competing, and you get a lot, it brings a lot to your life, good for you. You know, what do I care what another guy does? The only thing though that I do kind of wonder, and I don't know if it's a worry, like I wonder if you worry about this, you know, as somebody who's dedicated your life to jiu-jitsu, I think probably, like, you know, for like me, probably yourself, you come to jiu-jitsu because of those early days, because we saw how effective it was in a fight, right? Like, I had done martial arts since I'm 7 years old, I taught karate, I did all kinds of different things, and then I see, you know, the UFC, and I think to myself, holy hell, if it's really this good, this is the dream come true, this is the fantasy, this is the little guy beating the big guy, these are the secret techniques we've all been looking for, sign me up, I'm in, right? Now, because it started to get so popular, I started to like see like, okay, people are not focusing at all on the fight. They're not focusing in a lot of places. Now, of course, there still are places where that is their focus, but in a lot of places I visit, it's really just thinking about the sport, the sport, the sport, the sport. And I'm wondering how many generations are going to go by until that's going to have a real effect that, you know, maybe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not going to be the thing that it was and made it so effective in a fight. Just like, you know, karate and a lot of other things a few generations back probably had a lot more fight to them, but they got so popular, people wanted to test them in comps, and people wanted to play, and people wanted to do all these different things, and it does have an effect. Are you worried that that fighting component is going to fade?
I think it's a very valid concern, you know, because you want to see, again, like, if someone wants to go to do the sport, great, I'll help them focus on the sport. I love to compete back in the day, that's a long time ago. Yeah, I loved the gi, I like to do the lapel stuff, I loved it all.
Who doesn't like to strangle someone with their own clothing?
That's right, but
right?
That's
a
not,
good day.
Yeah, that is not why I do jiu-jitsu. It's like, I do jiu-jitsu because of, just like you, I did karate, I love the effectiveness of it. But if that's what somebody wants to do, so be it. Just like you said, it's the goals are get as many people involved in a cool martial arts and a way of life as we can. They get fit, great. But yeah, when you have a sport like us, like that, you know, it's big, but yet is it going to be able to provide a living and a career for someone that's decent, right? Good, especially if you don't want to do a school, which is like a whole nother animal. Like, but is that person going to be able to translate over and make a career in MMA? Because a lot of people think about that.
Right.
They go compete in the sport, and then they're like, you know what? The next step is MMA.
That's it.
It is.
Become a pro fighter.
Yeah, it's a bigger world. There is legitimate money in MMA. You can make a very healthy living if you're great. And so I think the concern would be, as a coach, the concern would be steering the individual that has that goal from the beginning in a different direction than just baramboloing all day long.
Because you could spend 10 years becoming a great champion, but you also have 10 years of habits that are not necessarily ideal for the MMA world. And then when you decide you're going to make that transition, you've got a lot of things you need to alter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which would be better if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and then you spent the 10 years doing what you really wanted to do, just because of the nature of the rules of the sport. You know, it's back like we were talking about. You used to be able to leg reap, which was cool because that was, I thought, a very good thing.
We're neck cranking everybody. Now it's like I have to go through a list. It's like, okay, before we begin, slap hands and bump fists. Will we be partaking of neck cranks and heel? I might do an inverted heel hook on you. I saw your heels; they look good. So is that cool? And then I get a little checklist with the guy, and then we
which is a good. That's an important thing. Like having conversation prior to training. It's another topic. I'm getting a little off topic, but that is a point we could talk about later. But yeah, I guess the concern would be that the coach needs to understand, if it's an athlete, it's an athlete that wants to compete in a sport, they need to understand, and so does the athlete, need to understand what their goals are. Because if their goals are to fight MMA, then they need to be cognitive of that, and so does their coach. Because I'm not going to put someone who wants to compete in MMA I'm not going to worry about them doing. Now, great, there are valid skill sets and things like, and we're picking on the berimbolo.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an easy example.
Right, could be
so
a different.
Anyone who's watching, if you really like the berimbolo,
yeah,
relax, it's fine.
I'm picking on that one because literally when you take the gi off, it doesn't have the same skill set, doesn't have the same move set. You've got to change things. There's some foot locks, there's some other things that you have to adapt. But anyway, I'm not going to put him to do that all day long. I'm going to put him to start doing shoot box really early and like learning how to adapt wrestling with kicking and punching and then jiu-jitsu that's effective. One of the greatest guys in MMA currently is like Damian Maia.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is not fancy by any stretch of the imagination, but man, it's effective.
It's super effective.
Very effective.
Yeah.
For it.
You bring up a really interesting point, and I think that's about the foundation when somebody comes to the door and how they start off, jiu-jitsu. I noticed when I came back, there's a few things that were shocking. Like when I started to learn anything, well, first of all, it was a big investment to try and get any type of education because you had to get in a car and you had to drive. You'd have to drive to New York. There was nobody. It wasn't like there was. Like I'm driving here. I don't know how many jiu-jitsu schools I passed. It was like Starbucks, jiu-jitsu, Starbucks, jiu-jitsu, Starbucks in a jiu-jitsu. I don't know. This is like unbelievable. But back in the day, it was very hard to find, which meant if you were learning it, you worked to learn it. You had to really go somewhere to try and get an education. And there wasn't, and it's hard for people maybe to imagine now, but there wasn't YouTube, and there weren't these videos online. It was, I remember guys were chipping in to buy a VHS cassette, like these old VHSs, and everybody would sit around in one house and watch the moves and then try and do them, right? So now there's all this information. Back then, if I came to train with you, or if I went to New York and I went to Renzo's, the teacher is in charge of what I'm exposed to. So just like you were mentioning, you could kind of guide me depending on what I want. Like if I came in and I say, listen, I want to be able to train and I want to compete in Brazil. You'd be like, okay, so this is what we're gonna have to do, man. Or if I come to you and I say this, I want to learn this and doing martial arts. I think this is like super effective. I want to learn this so if I'm ever in a fight, I want to be able to take care of myself. I want to be able to finish a fight, or get out of a bad situation. So again, you can kind of tailor my training, my exposure. But now, because of the internet, we have more jiu-jitsu at our fingertips than any time in history, right? And I don't think just for jiu-jitsu, I think in general, we have access to more information and we're kind of getting dumber.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I can't believe how much jiu-jitsu is out there. When I came back, I started looking and I was like, holy hell, man. I was like, what's that move? What's that move? And my head almost exploded. I think I just sat there for like 11 hours just looking at all these jiu-jitsu things because I couldn't believe it was all out there and available. But at least thankfully I knew enough to look real quick, and then I put it all away. I went back to the school, put my gi on, and then just started training the basics that my teacher was showing me. Because I know the most important thing is that I start working on my fundamentals again. I don't have to worry about this cool move that I saw that, hey, this is the flying platypus technique where if I grab the guy's big toe and his ear at the same time and flip my, his kimono around his head, I'll choke him out, right? Yeah. I know I gotta learn the basics. So I don't know if you've seen some of this, if you experience it when you're teaching, if people, it's harder these days to kind of, steer people in the right direction. And do you find that people have the same kind of fundamentals for learning that maybe before was really instilled upon them, or are they like I'm kind of perceiving they're all over the place?
Yeah, it's funny. I think we were touching on technology these days. It's made us have almost zero tolerance for the time that it takes to get something. Yeah. It's at our fingertips. If it takes longer than 5 seconds for our emails to load, we get pissed.
Yeah, it's like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I know. Like, what the heck, man? Come on, man.
My phone. Yeah.
And I was telling you, I don't remember what comedian it was, but it was like the signal is freaking going to outer space and back. And when you compare that, and I sound like I walked uphill, 7 miles.
We're slowly becoming those guys that have to tell everybody how hard it was to learn jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, listen, you little whippersnappers.
Yeah.
Back in the dial-up days, right? Yeah. When we were learning, there was no YouTube, and that's hard to believe, but there was none. It was VHS tape, and I studied a lot of tape. I had very fortunate to have a friend of mine from Indiana send me a bunch of competition tapes. Right. And I used to watch competitions all the time, and it was great. But I think YouTube is like the epitome of the yin yang.
Yeah.
It is the most amazing resource that we have.
Yeah.
But it is the worst resource that we have. Because if you're not careful and you don't understand the context of what the learning process is, and you don't, it can throw you off what you're doing.
Well, sure. Like, I can come train with you. You show me a sweep, and like you said, my attention span for how long it'll take to make it work, how long to apply.
Yeah.
I tried a couple times against a few guys that I roll with. It didn't work, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm leaving. As I'm walking out, I'm looking on my phone for sweeps, and I'm like, I like this one.
Yeah.
Where in reality, who cares what I like? I probably need the other one because that's the foundation one.
Yeah.
And it didn't work, not because of the sweep, it didn't work because of me.
Yeah.
I don't have the timing yet. I'm not setting it up right. I haven't found the leverages,
Yeah.
right? So I think that, you know, for a jiu-jitsu instructor, this must be just a nightmare.
Yeah, I you know what I do is I'm a big advocate of people to watch tape. I think it's a very, very important resource. However, it can be an Achilles heel. So anytime I'm preaching to my students, I always just say, watch competitions, watch the best guys, because in a competition, the best guy is doing their A game, and you'll benefit by watching what they do, and then you can learn. Like you can start to go, oh, that's what I should be doing in that scenario. Oh, yeah, that's what. But there is no substitute for being in class and on the mat. You have to put in your time, and you know, being an athlete or a student, you can go in several different ways too. Like, okay, one thing that you can do to study tape is just to literally educate yourself and be aware of everything. Because it takes years and years and years and years and years to learn all of what's out there. You know, I don't know everything that's out there. It's like I've been training for 20 years. You know, and I take pride in trying to know everything that's out there. It's possible. It's so many. It's the evolution. It's crazy, but to be aware of everything that's going on, I think is great.
Yeah.
I think it's great, so that you're going, oh, that's Barambolo. Yeah. Oh, that's Barambolo.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what it is. I know what it is. And then eventually that person can, especially if it's a brand new person, they can learn it. Like, you know, people can learn any skill.
Sure.
But is it gonna behoove them to learn some crazy skill in the beginning? No, it's gonna delay the inevitable.
Right.
Because most of the time, if the coach or the instructor is having them do positional training, instructors, have your people do positional training. If they're doing positional training, which is arguably the most important real live training, they're going to go, oh, I'm mounted. How do I get out of the mount? Oh, I'm cross-sided. Well, those things aren't going to do that. You know, you have to stick to fundamentals. You have to understand cross-side escape, single legs, all these things. One thing that drives me a little nuts, you have to know closed guard. Closed guard is arguably the most important guard. Because and that's one of those things that.
But that's
nowadays,
not the new sexy.
No, open guard is awesome. Years ago, some of my friends, Budojig and Caleb, we were commentating at Worlds, and we're like, yeah, closed guard's dead. Who cares about closed guard? It became this funny thing, but if you don't have closed guard, then you can forget about defending yourself in a fight, in an MMA fight, because you get pummeled.
Right.
And if you open your guard. The only time when someone makes posture, that is the time to open your guard and kick them away, and then your job is to stand up.
And, you know, you're just talking about the importance of somebody really going through these stages. You know, not just jumping ahead to the sexy move. You know, and the problem I think too that we get when we look online is we research the stuff we already like. That doesn't mean it's the thing you need, right? Yeah. Like if you got a really heavy top game, you're probably going to research some more heavy top game stuff. You're like, oh, these are great moves. I'm going to attack, you know, from knee on belly, but that's not helping your guard. Right? And like you said, you got to learn closed guard. You got to learn all these fundamentals, and that's what the teacher is there for. And you got to kind of force yourself to stay in that. Look at the other stuff, but stay in it. And it's hard to find resources that kind of moving people in, you know, a guided way, in a guided direction. You know. So I know we were talking before, and you said that you're working on getting something out. You've been working on it for a long time. To help people with this, because the technology is not the bad thing. Right. It's how we use it. Right. So you're putting together a resource where people can get, because what you're really known for, amongst other things, is that you're super detailed. super detail oriented, right? Like it was funny because you know, you've hidden this place like
like a master.
Just like the master, right? Yes, yeah. Renzo taught you well, you know. Hide it in a building where no one can find it, and don't put any street signs.
Yeah.
So we found a guy outside that, you know, I saw right away with, you know, the compression pants. I'm like, okay, this guy's probably going in there to roll. But when I asked him, the first thing he said, he's like, oh, I went up to see Shawn. He says, oh, so detailed, so good, right? You know, so everybody knows that. So you're gonna put some of this detail into like an online training that people can check out?
Yeah, I've been working on it for a long time. Just had some programming issues. I'm sure everybody's had that.
It's a nightmare.
But,
people always don't understand. It's like the phone thing.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They're like, this page does this, or it's you know, it's glitchy. It's like, do you know how hard that is to make?
Yeah,
you know?
it's hard. Anyway, it is going to be up for beta launch within the next few weeks. One of the goals of the site to give beginners a place to learn. I mean, of course, there's going to be. It's my goal of putting it out there is to teach everything I know, because Renzo, one time I was doing some move or something, and he said something that cracked me up. He goes, man, I forgot more moves than you know. And I was like, you know what? That's true. That's probably true. Yeah. And recently, about when I really wanted to start to do this site, it was more because I'm like, man, I'm forgetting like all the stuff I used to do. Not the fundamentals, but like some of the just accessory pieces. And I'm like, you know, it's been a while since I've done that. And really the goal is to put everything I know on video. So it's a legacy for myself, my students, you know, kids, like everything in the future. But one of the important things for me is like what we've spoke about is learning, and having a place where someone can learn from scratch. It's a resource. Again, online learning is a resource.
Yeah.
It's never. Wow, that's Godzilla coming through there.
That was a push hit, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. It's a resource. It is in no way, shape, or form ever going to substitute being on the mats, training. You know, it's just a resource. It's
a great thing can be like, you know, we're talking about if you're given really detailed instruction here. It happens in the room, and people always struggle to remember it. Like I always hear people leaving, you know, like we have a really good class, and people are like, I don't remember the first move we did today. And I tell them, don't worry, nobody does. It's gonna take a long time before you internalize it, right? But the fact that maybe I'll have this thing after that, it's like, man, you gave this really great explanation. I can go back in and I can hear it again, and I can play it back. It's like you can live with it a lot longer and let it sink in a lot more.
Absolutely.
That's an amazing thing to have.
Absolutely. It's it. You know, with me, one of my goals is I was lucky. I was very lucky that I went to Renzo's. I mean, it was pure luck that I went there, and he was detailed.
Yeah.
So like uber detailed, and so that we got that, you know, and I just consider myself one of the luckiest guys to be around somebody that not only taught it, but like taught us why. Like he literally taught us how to fish, and so then that allowed us, like, you know, us, I'm saying all the guys that I came up with, to do the same. You know, teach the same, find out why it is what it is. And you know, that made me, I went to school for exercise science because I wanted to see how the body worked. Like, wow, this jiu-jitsu is amazing. Now, how do these muscles work? Where are they connected? And so I went to school for that because I wanted to accessorize my jiu-jitsu, you know?
That's awesome.
And then I wrestled, and then I've got my thing is I've always wanted to learn from the best people that are the best teachers so that I can learn the small details and then pass them on. So I'm fortunate enough to wrestle with Rico Ciparelli out here, and I've got a friend, Warren Stout, who's also very connected into wrestling, and he's helped me a lot. And those guys both are uber detailed. I do think that Rico is like a secret weapon. Like he literally knows, like, he just knows everything about wrestling and every little nuance. Like, I'm just like, dude, this guy's insane. Everything you teach works. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, and same with my buddy Warren, who was an advocate studier of technique and helped me with my wrestling component go in that direction. And so, and it's been that way now. You know, now I go travel to train with Jimmy Pedro, having a seminar with Justin Flores coming up in judo. I believe it's just, you seek out the best people, you learn from the uber fine details, and that's always been my goal. And then
and try to
pass that on. You know.
So let's pass something on. I mean, we didn't get in our pajamas for nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I got all dressed up nice. This is like my business attire. Okay. So we're gonna do a move. All right. So let's take a look at something. You know, maybe something to you that's like really fundamental, really basic. Don't leave home without it. Everyone should know this.
Yeah.
But in the land of, you know, everybody's jumping around and learning all these different things, maybe from video here, video there, maybe it was missed.
Yeah.
You know, what's like a great fundamental?
Yeah, this is really simple. It's probably going to be boring but it's very simple. And something that Renzo did for us, and I don't know, I'm sure he knew how impactful it was but just taught how to open the guard.
Yeah.
Because it makes a difference. It really does. It sets you up for success if you understand how and when to open your guard. And when, in what arena it's for,
right.
Obviously. In sport, you can wait a lot longer than you can in MMA.
Right.
But yeah, let's take a look at just how to open the guard and what we would be doing if we're opening the guard. So I'm in a closed guard, and we'll say that the first arena is an MMA situation. Yeah. So ideally, I better have not only your head down,
right.
but I better have some sort of an angle and some sort of inside ties, right? But we're gonna say, okay, none of that happened.
Right.
You've got an inside tie here, and you've got an inside tie, yep.
Yeah.
And I'm losing my ties. So
right.
The thing that, in an MMA situation, when we open the guard is when I can't have your posture. So as you start to bring yourself up, it's time.
Right.
I cannot stay in closed guard anymore for fear of getting pummeled, right? You've got both hands on the inside, elbow, everything's available for you. Yeah, it's not gonna be long before that happens. So one hand goes over the top, the other hand comes underneath. So I'm gonna use the crook of my thumb and my first finger, and that's gonna sit right on the crook of your elbow. And my opposite hand is gonna come carve underneath. Now I'm gonna move to the side that the hand is on top. So we're gonna move out to that side. And we're gonna use a stiff leg method. So my right leg is gonna push down on your leg rather than going on the floor.
Right.
I don't like to use the floor to move the hips because it doesn't put any pressure on your body.
Yeah, right? I can feel the space now.
Yeah, it's not good. So I want to use you to keep weight down on you, to keep you on the ground. So we're going to use a stiff leg method of the right leg's going to push down, and we're going to move our hips out. My toes face that way, my hips face the other way. Now, you can start to see already this is getting stronger for me, and that's why we went to this way, because my face is on this arm. So I want that inside tie to make sure I don't get pummeled.
Right.
Okay. Now, top knee, this is the top knee, this one always carves in first. It's gonna carve in and it's gonna open.
Right.
When it opens, the left leg now comes in as well. We don't move. If I move, now my knee is blocked by your bicep, tricep. So you stay on your side. This knee carves into the hip, and now we square up and we have double knee shapes. Yeah, I have good control. I have an inside tie on one. We have a potential wrist tie on the other. And now we can back up and start using our legs and different attacks there. So what it seems like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. But when you do it at speed, it's quite fast. Like doesn't take long to get to this position. It's very fast, it's very efficient, and it sets us up for success for sort of an MMA environment. Now, with sport, okay, we're going to say that you choose a chest and hip type of guard opening now, or a sleeve, which just means I need to counter grab your sleeve. If you grab my sleeve, I better be grabbing yours. Better be getting my hand over my head. But yeah, we'll say chest and hip, because if you go both hands on biceps, it's literally the same. It's neutral.
Right.
This is not neutral. So when I want to open my guard with the same method, I have to go to the side where you're controlling my hip.
Okay.
So we'll just take a basic sleeve grip, just for argument's sake, a basic collar grip. You don't have to have these grips, but they're good ones, especially when you open your guard like this. But again, side that's controlling the hip, I'm gonna fight that side. So stiff-legged method, I move my hips out to the side, top leg carves in, and now we've got an inside tie.
Right.
We beat the hip hand. Now, with the gi, it's different than without the gi. With the gi, I wanna go foot on the hip, and I want your arm inside. This allows me to go collar sleeve. Right. It allows me to make sure I have my attacking situation. So with the gi is different. With the gi, we would like the arm and the neck inside.
Right.
Without the gi, no way.
Right.
With fighting, we want double insides all the time so that I can't be hit, it can't be struck. So again, it's simple.
Right.
but it's something that I think a lot of people miss, like how to open.
I think, you know what, those two moves, you know, are just that concept. It's a perfect example for what we're talking about, you know, like something that's very, very simple, learning those fundamentals, and not just how to do it, but why, and why you're doing it in a particular way. And that's the stuff that's really important, that, you know, you don't want people to lose. And they can also see, depending on what they want to do with their training, like if you want to take your training and you want to be able to apply it in a fight, these are kind of fundamentals that you need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you're going to be showing stuff like this on your online training?
Oh, absolutely. Like, so, you know, I'm going to teach everything I know, but there will be a very structured, from the beginning up.
Start moving through these concepts.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So that's amazing. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I think people are going to love it. They're going to love doing the online training, and especially I think, you know, one of the best things that you can do about doing that, like you said, it kind of just creates this amazing library of the research that you've done and the work that, you know, you've put in, and you'll have it. But also for people that aren't coming out to California, they maybe can't make it out to one of your seminars. Now they'll have access to you. You know, you know, there's nothing more frustrating than hearing this guy's amazing. You should go train with him, and you're sitting there on the other side of the world, and you're like, I want to, but I just can't get over there. Yeah. So this would be a great thing.
Yeah, hopefully, I hope that you guys enjoy it when it's out. You know, that's my goal, is just to have it be a great resource for people and to spread the art.
Is it going to be on ShawnWilliamsBJJ.com?
That's where you'll be able to go and get information about the beta. Yeah, you'll be able to put your email in there just to say, hey, I'm interested in the beta.
Right.
You know, we're going to do a little beta test to get some feedback to see how people like it.
Yeah.
I want it to be well received, and I want it to be a good thing.
Awesome.
And once we get some good feedback, then we're going to open her up.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we'll put a link down below this video to make sure that everybody can get to that site, and then they'll be able to find you, okay? Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Nice
to see you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Away.
Right.
Now you put yourself at the distance where I can hit you. See if you can touch my face.
Yeah.
So I'm 6'1", and you're
I'm not.
5 foot 2.5.
Something on a good day, right? Yeah.
So what's amazing is now you can be just as effective with your guard, right? He can hit me. I'm still a few inches away, and even if I try to lean forward, just from, you see?
Yeah. And I can control when I bring it in and maybe hit.
You can control distance.
Yeah.
You also